Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nice Podcast. Today we are going to discuss about the Bangladeshi turmoil. On 5th August, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh resigned and left the country following extensive violent protest. The unrest began in July with extreme demonstrations against the government job quota system, which later escalated into a broader anti-government movement. As protesters stormed her office residence in Dhaka, Hasina was evacuated by a military helicopter to India. Anti-government is formed under Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. Yet in this context, we have invited Professor Amena Mohsin. Mohsin was a professor in the Department of International Relations, University of Dhaka. Professor Mohsin, welcome to Nice Podcast. My first question is, can you explain the recent events in Bangladesh and the underlying reasons behind them?
Thank you very much, Dr. Pramod. To answer your question first, as you pointed out in your introduction, that there was a mass movement by the students and later on joined by the general people, and it began as a quota movement. Though people talk about it, that it was a non-political issue. The quota movement is looked upon or viewed as a non-political issue, but I personally have never looked at it as a non-political issue. Because if you look at the wider ramifications of quota movement or the way it started and the issues that were at play at that point of time, what was very critical is that how the binaries, you have to understand the political history and political developments in Bangladesh. And what I have written about also extensively, the politics of polarization or the politics of binary that was created along the lines of liberation and anti-liberation forces. So these are categories that have been widely used in Bangladesh, and there are reasons for that also, why these have been used. But I'm not going to go into the details of this. But the thing is that, when, and one also has to understand that when a big percentage of quota is being, fixed for the children. I mean, I can understand children, but grandchildren and their children, and it goes on like this. So you, in a way, you are, the binaries are being broadened. And one can't label the entire country as anti-liberation. I mean, these are forces, these are very sensitive and emotive issues. And 53 years down the lane, I mean, this also concerns the future of the country, the future generation of the country, where, the unemployment rate is very high. So the questions arise, the economic issues are involved. What happens to the future of the youth? So this is a very substantial issue for the youth. And this brings in the economic dimensions of the country also, the dynamics, where I think that, the private sector, the job market is limited. So this was not a political issue. It was something which concerned the survival of the youth. And as well, I look upon it personally as how you look upon the narratives that were being created around these notions. And the movement got momentum because there were other factors involved also. Because as you know, that there had been 3 consecutive elections which had been very controversial. So there was this pent-up anger among the people, uh, 3 consecutive elections where people literally could not vote. That was there. Then economic issues were involved, money laundering, money, not only money laundering, there were, the prices of things were going up, high rate of inflation, and then the concentration of power. In a way, one can say that, if you, the ruling regime, which came to power, no doubt, with the, when it came in 2008, with a tremendous majority, it had a huge backing from the people. But over the years, as you concentrate power, you become, I mean, the regime in power, it was totally alienated from the people. and it could not feel the pulse of the people. So those were, I mean, and the anger was painting up, and also its student wings, the Chhatru League, I don't think it helped the regime much, because the universities were controlled by them, and in the different institutions you could see the politicization. Uh, so all these things, I think, these were, it was like something which was brewing, and it just happened when the students started the movement and when fire was opened. I think that was it. It was a point of no return.
Professor, what do you anticipate will happen next in Bangladesh, and what direction do you think the country is heading?
Thank you very much, Pramod. That's a very important question and $1 million question. But I think, because this was a popular upsurge, it was a populist movement in a sense, and the youth, I see, like, because 3 consecutive elections were held where people could not vote. So, as a teacher, I always had this apprehension within me that maybe the youth or the next generation is being depoliticized. But now I find that no, that is not the thing. That is not the issue. The students are coming up with real issues. It is not only about power or concentration of power, but these are issues of lives and livelihood. And the people and the youth want. When I and when I am talking about the youth, I mean they are. It's not. I'm not saying that the other sectors of the population are not involved in it. That is not the point I'm making. I'm saying in general, I mean the issues that concern the real that the real issues of lives, and they are calling for reforms in all the sectors, uh, the institutions, all the institutions. I'm talking about the law enforcement agencies, the election commission, the political parties. It's the, I mean, in general, the people feel that a systemic change need to be there, and the institutions need to be institutionalized, and one needs to come out of the the cult factor as well as the dynasty factor. So I'm hopeful that we are moving towards the what I call democratization of the society. And electoral politics per se, if you have a Westminster system of government, then it, I mean, we tend to move towards a majoritarian system. So we want a Bangladesh which is inclusive, where different sections of the people, not I'm not only talking about the different ethnic communities, but I'm also talking about different classes. They are also well represented. So a total transformation is called for. But what we need at the moment, I think, is patience. The political parties need to be patient about it. We need time for that. And also, the people need to be patient also. I mean, one need to prioritize that what are the issues that are required. I would start with the law enforcement, agencies, that how these institutions have been politicized. So these need to be professionalized as well as institutionalized. Then let's talk about education. If you look at the university, I mean, in university, teachers' politics is a major issue. It is a concern of major. It is a major concern for us. So that needs to be taken care of. The academic curriculum is there. Then, of course, the banking sector needs to be reformed. So all these issues are there. So I think one should have short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. These are issues that Bangladesh needs to prioritize, and one needs to just have patience. And I hope we will have that patience, because if you look at the death toll, it has crossed 650, where security personnel are also involved. And also, what is, what is not often factored in is that so many people have been injured. So many students have lost their eyes. so many people have, become maimed. If you go to the hospitals, I mean, there are all these injured people, and people have lost faith in the, I mean, we have to build up that trust and the faith in the institutions of the country, the election commission, the security infrastructure, all that. So I think that needs time and we need patience for that. But I'm very hopeful because this time it was, it's not only the students, of course, were in the forefront. School students were involved in it, and as you are well aware, many school students have lost their lives also. General people are supporting it. So I think, it's time that it's a wake-up call for the politicians also, and the politicians need to remind themselves that the people are not in for the old politics. They want politics of life and livelihood. Thank you.
Professor, how do you perceive the role of global and regional powers in this context? Especially, what position do you assign to India, China, and the US within this framework? I would also like to highlight that Hasina recently accused that the US conspired to remove her from the power for refusing to hand over Saint Martin Island, and what are the potential implications of this situation?
Well, this is an accusation that she had been making for quite some time, and even when she was in power, we have heard her saying that. But I guess that needs to be proved, and one needs evidence for that. And I would be very happy if evidence can be provided for that. That is, but I would say that, one cannot, I mean, I'm not going to accept this, that it was something which was externally like pushed. It was something that came from within. I hold on to that position. And there was pent up anger. As I said, that, the way the narratives were being framed, those were not very helpful. So, and none of the issues are political. To ask the role of the regional powers, I would say that you have mentioned three countries: China, US, and India. Okay, I would like to see that India, though, I mean, India has to realize that it has to respect the wishes of the people. And foreign policy, Pramod, you also know it very well. It cannot be dependent on a political party or on personalities. I mean, these are institutions, so continuity has to be there. It is with the people of a country. It is with the. It is something which it can't be regime centric. Bangladesh has respected regime changes in India, and India also has to respect that. So one can, when you talk of connectivity, you cannot just have infrastructural connectivity. Infrastructural connectivity needs to be backed by people's connectivity. So India has to understand the pulse of the people. So I guess the present regime in Bangladesh, it is also, if you, I mean, I've been following Mr. Tawhid's, who is a very, learned and veteran diplomat of the country. He was our former foreign secretary as well. He has said that we would continue to have the same relations with all the countries. And China has also supported, China has said that it will continue to have relations with, the same relations with Bangladesh. And China, as it is, if you look at China's foreign policy, it does not, I mean, its position is always, I mean, it goes for economic relations, it goes for, different kind of infrastructure building. It doesn't meddle into the political affairs of a country. And if we talk of US, I don't see any reason for, I think the US, for the US, the change is something which it is following very closely, and things would continue to be the same. But India being our closest neighbor, I do expect that India would respect the aspirations of the people of Bangladesh, because one has to be, it's not that it is only Bangladesh which needs India. India also needs Bangladesh. If it, I mean, India's look, if, when India talks about its connectivity and look its policy, if it looks east, Bangladesh is there. Its geo strategic position makes it a very important location for India. So all these reasons are there for India to be, to be friendly towards Bangladesh, and Bangladesh also needs India. So, and this is something I think, one can't go into that politics of, as I pointed out, whether it is in the domestic reign or whether it is in the regional domain, into the politics of polarization. I mean, this is an age of social media. So, uh, and also people are aware of the developments which is happening in the region, and this movement has been an inspiration for uh, many. I would say students from India also had supported the movement which took place in Bangladesh. The students came forward in support of the students in Bangladesh. So you can see that, you know there is this connectivity among the youth, and it is an era we have to look towards the future. We can't just keep on looking at the past, and we have to move beyond the present and build up ties accordingly. So I would expect that, if you ask me about the geopolitics and the geostrategic, Kelly, if there is going to be any substantial difference, I would say no, it would remain the same.
Professor, let me move to the last question. Like previously, we have seen such changes in Afghanistan and Sri Lanka, and now it is Bangladesh. Do you believe there is risk of these phenomena spreading in other South Asian countries?
Well, if resentment is there and if there are genuine demands from the people, I think this would spread because, uh, and uh, and I would say that, I look at it positively, because if regimes get disconnected from the people, uh, so it's the youth which will take over, it's the people who will take over, because we do want, when we talk about democracy, it's not only about electoral democracy. I mean, elections are an important component of democracy, definitely, but election is not the only thing. You have to look, if you have to see if the political parties are democratic, if the if the process of democratization has been institutionalized, if people's aspirations are being fulfilled. I mean, these are real issues, substantial issues. And for long, we have been talking about that we are post colonial states. And so we suffer from lack of democracy, all these things. But I think this is time that we are moving out of that post coloniality, and we are moving forward towards where, like, people do aspire from, I would say, rising aspirations of true democracy. Thank you.
Professor Mohsin, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure.